Welcome back to FP Executive. I'm here with Rob Ashe, General Manager of Business Analytics at IBM. Again, thank you for joining us today.
Great to be here again.
We were talking about business intelligence, and we left off the last segment talking about the trends in business intelligence and where we see these tools going, how they're changing the way people manage business. In your daily work life, you meet lots of people who use these tools, who want to use these tools. What's the trend that you're seeing?
Well, there's a couple trends. I'll start with something I mentioned in our last conversation, social analytics.
Okay.
All the interactions on the web and, the rich set of information that represents. I won't spend too much time on that. We talked about that before. Collaboration.
Okay.
Business intelligence is the language of business. Think about businesses, how businesses run. What they talk about are the numbers. And,
right.
They measure everything.
Right.
So if that's the language of business, we should be part of the way that people talk in business. And they currently talk in collaboration tools, like Lotus Notes, for instance.
Okay.
So connecting business intelligence with collaboration. And another thing I'd mention is, what we call big data, very internet scale data. Suddenly we're going, if you think of what's happened in the last, 10 or 20 years, we've gone from very small databases in our companies to databases distributed across global companies to now a huge internet, which is a gigantic database. How do we get all that data? I don't know how many times. Let's say it's 1,000 times the volume of the Library of Congress every day, right? So grappling with the huge amount of data out there is a trend that companies, marketers, public institutions are trying to grapple with.
So, for example, some of that big data, would you be trying to identify if it was a particular industry where the market is going based on that data? So whether people are buying or spending?
Yeah, it's probably the number one thing we want to get at is things like preferences. Now, it doesn't just refer to markets.
Okay.
Imagine you're a large government organization and you want to know what the citizens are thinking.
I see.
What are they talking about? What are they blogging about every day? But you can't read every blog.
Right, of course.
So you want a tool that allows you to kind of summarize, represent it graphically,
I see.
We're talking less about Obama and we're talking more about, oil spills or whatever it might be. So there's a lot, when you talk about customer preferences, it applies to a broad range of industries.
So if you're selling a product, for example, and you use, say, your medium-sized business, and you're using tools to try and figure out if people want more green products, let's say, would you be able to drill down and find out specifically, what kind of green products they're talking about that they want to buy? Would you be able to locate that kind of info?
That's the whole idea. It's interesting you say drill down. That's kind of one of the key capabilities of business intelligence, to be able to start at the top, see, here's a trend, drill down, that trend involves, green garbage bags and green recycling, and you keep drilling. I mean, that's how we think, right? That's what we call business intelligence.
Right.
So you really want to use these capabilities to discover those trends, especially if you're a small business. You don't have the marketing muscle of a big business. You don't have the distribution channel of a big business. So imagine if you could harness the web to get at that information and out-compete, your bigger competitors.
It sounds like something that can give you a competitive edge over the folks who have a lot of money to spend.
Business intelligence is all about competitive edge. How do you find, because as I said earlier, in an earlier interview we did, it's about moving it to the front office where people think. Right. And they get new ideas and they think of new promotions and whatnot. So it really is very, very tightly coupled with how people see their competitive advantage.
Now, in terms of, you mentioned small business as a competitive advantage. Is it affordable? I mean, without getting into prices, because everyone's different, but some people might think this is costing hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. Is that the case?
You go from the simplest with the smallest business,
right?
Where it's quite affordable and packaged in sizes and for a number of users that make it affordable. That's what I will say. I know we've done and the industry has done generally. At the very high end, it's going to get more expensive at the high end. You got complex security, privacy is an issue. Of course. So you have to provide the customer with a very complex security. You need to integrate with their other systems. You need to make sure the user interfaces are appealing to their users. Right. So you get to the high end. I mean, it's not as expensive as some of the big systems they implement, but it's a reasonably priced product.
But then it does sound like there is one product for each category, and you just have to find it.
There's a way to get in.
Excellent.
A way to get in at a low cost.
Interesting. Rob Ashe, thank you for joining us today. This has been very interesting.
Good to be here.
Thank you.